Money has a way of revealing truths about people, especially family. I learned this standing outside my parents' study, my hand frozen mid-knock as their voices drifted through the heavy oak door. Madison deserves the best wedding we can give her, my mother said. She's always made us proud. I lowered my hand, my throat tightening. The leather of my portfolio crinkled under my grip, the one containing my business school acceptance letter that I'd come to share. 200,000 is a lot, Carolyn, my father replied, his voice carrying that familiar tone of surrender I'd heard countless times before. Robert, please, this is Madison we're talking about. When else will we get to show everyone how successful our family is? A bitter laugh escaped my lips before I could stop it. Success. Right. The same success they refused to support when I needed help with my undergraduate tuition 5 years ago. I'd worked 3 jobs to put myself through college, while Madison got a fully funded experience at an art school in Paris. Heaven managed just fine without, my father started. Heaven is different, my mother cut in. She's always been practical, independent. Madison needs our support. You know how sensitive she is. The portfolio slipped from my fingers, hitting the hardwood floor with a dull thud. I froze, but their conversation continued uninterrupted. Besides, my mother added, Madison's marrying into the Reynolds family. This wedding needs to reflect their status. I picked up my portfolio, my fingers trembling. Through the crack beneath the door, I could see their shadows moving across the floor. My mother's heels clicking as she paced. My father probably slumped in his leather chair. Remember Heaven's engagement party last month? My mother's voice dropped lower, but not enough. That restaurant she chose? The Reynolds were there, and I could tell they were unimpressed. The food was excellent, my father protested weakly. It wasn't about the food, Robert. It was about presentation, image, something Heaven has never quite understood. I pressed my palm against the wall, steadying myself. The engagement party I'd spent months planning, the one I'd been so proud of, reduced to another disappointment in their eyes. Well, my mother continued, at least Madison will give us the wedding this family deserves. I've already spoken to that wonderful planner who did the Wilson wedding last spring. My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably Elliot wondering where I was. We were supposed to meet to discuss our own wedding plans. But standing there, listening to my parents plan my sister's fairy tale, while my own celebrations were dismissed as inadequate, something shifted inside me. I pulled out my phone and typed, running late, family stuff. Then I stayed, rooted to that spot, absorbing every word as they discussed flower arrangements that cost more than my first car, a dress budget that exceeded my annual salary, and venue options I wouldn't dare dream of. Should we at least tell Heaven about the budget difference? My father asked, a hint of guilt in his voice. Why? To make her feel bad? No, Robert. Heaven's practical, remember? She wouldn't understand these things anyway. She's always been different. Different. The word echoed in my head, taking on new meaning with each repetition. Different meant less than. Different meant not enough. Different meant standing in the shadows while Madison basked in the spotlight. I looked down at my portfolio, at the acceptance letter inside that I'd been so excited to share. The prestigious business school, the full scholarship I'd earned through years of hard work. None of it would matter, not to them. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Madison. Where are you? Mom says you're coming to my dress fitting tomorrow. I stared at the message, a plan forming in my mind. They wanted different. They'd get different. I'd show them exactly how different I could be. I turned away from the study door, my heels silent on the hardwood floor as I walked away. Let them plan their perfect wedding. Let them fuss over their perfect daughter. I had other plans now, plans that would make them remember that sometimes the practical daughter, The different one could be the most dangerous. Grandmother Nora's kitchen always smelled like rebellion. Today it was apple pie and brutal honesty, served with a side of perfectly steeped Earl Grey. So you're just going to sit there and take it? She placed a slice in front of me, the crust golden and flaky, nothing like the pristine store-bought ones my mother served at her garden parties. What choice do I have? I stabbed my fork into the pie, watching steam escape. They've already decided Madison's wedding is their crowning achievement. You have your acceptance letter. Nora's eyes sparkled with that dangerous gleam I'd inherited. Show them. I pulled out the crumpled envelope from my bag, smoothing it against the worn kitchen table. The prestigious letterhead seemed to mock me now, its promise of achievement already dimmed by yesterday's revelations. They're in the conservatory, I said, planning Madison's engagement photo shoot. Perfect timing, then. Nora stood, her arthritis forgotten in her determination. Nothing like crashing a family meeting with actual news. The walk to the conservatory felt like marching to battle. Through the glass panels, I could see them, Mother arranging Madison's hair while Father nodded at whatever the photographer was suggesting. A tableau of perfect family harmony. I pushed open the door. The humid air hit me first, then Madison's voice. Heaven, finally. Tell Mother my hair looks better down. I got accepted to Stanford Business School. The words tumbled out, sharp and abrupt. Full scholarship. The photographer's camera clicked in the silence that followed. Mother's hands froze in Madison's hair. Stanford? Madison wrinkled her nose. Isn't that in California? That's wonderful, dear, Mother said, already turning back to Madison's hair. But perhaps we could discuss this later? We're in the middle of something important. Important? The acceptance letter crackled in my grip. Like Madison's third engagement photo shoot? Heaven, Father warned, but I was done being careful. $200,000 for her wedding, but you couldn't spare $20,000 for my college fund? Madison stood up, her white dress rustling. That's different. This is my wedding, my future. And what about my future? Ladies, the photographer interrupted, perhaps we should take a break. No need, Mother said smoothly. Heaven was just leaving, weren't you, dear? I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Behind her perfect smile, I caught something, a flicker of satisfaction. She'd known about the wedding budget all along. Actually, I said, I came to tell you I won't be at the dress fitting tomorrow. I have a meeting with my academic advisor. But I need you there. Madison's voice hit that pitch she used to get her way. You're my maid of honor. Am I? I turned to leave, then paused. Or am I just another prop in your perfect picture? Heaven, Elizabeth Montgomery. Mother's heels clicked against the stone floor as she followed me. You're being ridiculous. This behavior is exactly why. Why what, Mother? Why I'm different? Practical? Not quite good enough? Her face paled. You heard us. Every word. Madison appeared beside her, arms crossed. You were eavesdropping? How pathetic. Madison, Father started, but she continued. This is exactly why Mom and Dad trust me more. I don't skulk around corners and throw tantrums when things don't go my way. Trust you more? I laughed. They don't trust you, Madison. They're buying you, just like they always have. The photographer's camera clicked again. Perfect. Tomorrow's society pages would probably feature the Montgomery sisters' touching pre-wedding moment. I expect you at the fitting tomorrow, Mother said firmly. Family obligations come first. No. The word felt like freedom. My future comes first. For once. I walked out of the conservatory, their protests fading behind me. In the kitchen, Nora was waiting with a fresh cup of tea and a proud smile. How'd it go? Exactly as expected. I sat down, my hand steady as I reached for the cup. They didn't even blink at Stanford. And how do you feel about that? I thought about Madison's satisfied smirk, about Mother's dismissal, about Father's silence, like I finally see them clearly, all of them. Nora nodded, sliding another slice of pie toward me. Clarity's a dangerous thing in this family. Good. I took a bite, savoring the sweet tart flavor. Because I'm done playing the practical daughter. It's time they learned what different really means. Through the window, I could see Madison and Mother heading to their car, probably off to damage control over my outburst. Let them talk. Let them plan. They had no idea what was coming. Old photos have a way of exposing lies. I found the box while clearing out my desk at my parents' house, preparing for Stanford, they assumed. They had no idea I was looking for something specific. The image that caught my eye wasn't in an album. It was loose, crumpled at the corners. Madison at her high school graduation, arms around my ex-boyfriend James. The date stamp revealed the truth. 2 days before he mysteriously broke up with me. My phone buzzed. Madison. Mom's furious you missed the fitting. But I forgive you. Dinner tonight? Just us sisters? I stared at the photo, pieces clicking into place. James wasn't the only ex who'd suddenly lost interest after meeting Madison. There was Michael in college, then David last year. The Oak Room, 7 p.m., I texted back. Time to test a theory. The Oak Room dripped old money, Madison's natural habitat. She was already there, holding court at the best table, wearing the engagement ring that probably cost more than my car. Heaven, she air-kissed my cheek. I ordered champagne. We should celebrate your Stanford news properly. I placed the photo on the table. Let's celebrate this instead. Her smile flickered, then steadied. Oh God, that old thing? I look terrible. You look cozy, with James, while he was dating me. Ancient history. She waved down a waiter. We were just friends. Like you were just friends with Michael? And David? The champagne arrived. Madison poured with steady hands, but her knuckles were white around the bottle. You're being paranoid, she said. Not everything is about you. Did you sleep with them? Heaven. She glanced around, ever conscious of appearances. This is hardly appropriate dinner conversation. Neither is sabotaging your sister's relationships. Sabotage? She laughed, but it was her society laugh. Practiced, hollow. They chose to pursue me. I can't help being magnetic. Magnetic. The word tasted bitter. Is that what you're being with Elliot? Her champagne glass paused halfway to her lips. What? I've seen the way you look at him, the same way you looked at James in this photo. Don't be ridiculous. I'm engaged to Charles. Elliot is your fiancé. For now, Madison's perfect facade cracked. Something dark flashed behind her eyes. You know what your problem is, Heaven? You're so desperate to be the victim. Poor, overlooked Heaven, always in my shadow. Maybe if you weren't so busy feeling sorry for yourself, you'd keep a man's interest. Like you kept Charles's interest? Does he know about the yacht party last summer? She paled. How did you? I have friends too, Madison. Friends who don't buy your act. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. Stay away from Elliot. She leaned back, studying me with new eyes. Then she smiled. A real smile this time, sharp as broken glass. Or what? You'll tell Mommy and Daddy? They'll never believe you over me. They never have. She stood, smoothing her dress. You know why? Because you're exactly what they think you are. Practical, boring, safe. The backup daughter. The one they settled for. Better than being the one they had to buy. Her hand shot out, knocking over her champagne. The golden liquid spread across the white tablecloth, seeping into the old photo. Oops. She grabbed her purse. Send me the cleaning bill. Oh, wait, With that scholarship, you probably can't afford this place, can you? Don't worry, I'll take care of it. I always do. She left me sitting there, surrounded by champagne and ruined memories. A waiter rushed over with napkins, but I waved him away. I wanted to watch the liquid destroy the photo, erasing the evidence of one betrayal while I planned for the next. My phone buzzed again. Elliot, dinner at your place tonight? I thought of Madison's warning smile, of all the relationships she'd destroyed. Then I thought of the way Elliot had been distant lately, how he'd started mentioning Madison in conversation. Actually, I typed, let's meet at your office. I have something to show you. I picked up the soggy photo and slipped it into my bag. Madison wasn't the only one who could play games. The difference was, I planned to win. The waiter returned with the bill. I paid in cash, the last of my savings. Some investments were worth every penny. Elliot's office felt wrong the moment I stepped inside. His desk was too neat, his smile too practiced. The photo of us that usually sat beside his computer was gone. You wanted to show me something? He leaned against his desk, loosening his tie, a habit I once found endearing. Actually, I have a question. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through photos. Where were you last Thursday night? Client dinner, you know that. At La Maison? He nodded, but his fingers tapped against the desk. Another tell. Why? I turned my phone around, showing him the image Madison had accidentally uploaded to our shared family album, her perfectly manicured hand holding a wine glass at La Maison. Elliot's distinctive watch visible in the background. She'd deleted it within minutes, but not before I'd saved it. Interesting client. Color drained from his face. Heaven, I can explain. Can you explain this too? I pulled out the old photo of Madison with James. Or how about Michael? David? What are you talking about? My sister's hobby, collecting my boyfriends. I stepped closer. Tell me, Elliot, did she pursue you, or did you make it easy for her? He straightened, switching tactics. You're being paranoid. Madison and I ran into each other by chance. We had one drink. In the private dining room? His jaw tightened. You're tracking me now? No, but Charles's sister works there. She remembers you two, says you looked cozy. Something shifted in his expression, not guilt, but relief, like he'd been waiting for this confrontation. Maybe we should postpone the wedding. The words hung between us, precise as a surgeon's cut. He'd been planning this, I realized, waiting for me to give him an excuse. Postpone? I laughed, the sound harsh even to my ears. Why not be honest for once? You want to cancel it? Heaven. How long? He didn't pretend not to understand. A month. It just happened. Nothing just happens with Madison. She plans, she pursues, she destroys. I moved to his desk, picking up a file folder. Like this merger you're working on? The Reynolds deal? His eyes widened. How did you? Charles Reynolds, Madison's fiancé. Quite a coincidence that his family's company hired your firm right after you and Madison started having drinks. That's different. Business is business? I opened the folder. These projection numbers look optimistic, almost fraudulent. Put that down. Real fear now. You don't understand what you're looking at. I understand enough. Stanford Business School, remember? The one you and my family dismissed. I closed the folder. Madison must have promised you the Reynolds account, your ticket to partner. You're upset, I get it, but threatening me, isn't that what Madison did? Threatened to withdraw the Reynolds account unless you ended things with me? His silence was answer enough. Here's what's going to happen. I placed the folder back on his desk. You're going to end it with Madison, quietly. Then you'll tell everyone you called off our engagement because of cold feet. And if I don't? These numbers reach the SEC, anonymous tip. They love those. He stared at me like he'd never seen me before. Maybe he hadn't. The practical daughter, the safe choice, wasn't supposed to fight back. I didn't think you were capable of this, he said finally. No one does. That's the point. I headed for the door, then paused. One more thing. That client dinner last Thursday, your firm billed it to the Reynolds account. Dinner for two at La Maison. I'm sure Charles would love to know what his family's paying for. Heaven, wait! But I was already gone, my heels clicking against marble floors, each step carrying me further from the woman I used to be, the one who accepted betrayal with practical grace. My phone buzzed. Madison. Elliot's acting weird. What did you say to him? I thought about responding, about warning her that her carefully constructed web was unraveling. Instead, I blocked her number. Let her wonder. Let her worry. The practical daughter had learned to play the game, and I was just getting started. In my bag, the old photo of Madison and James crackled, a reminder of where this all began. But this wasn't about old betrayals anymore. This was about showing them exactly what different could do. The engagement party sparkled like broken glass, beautiful from a distance, dangerous up close. Mother had outdone herself, transforming the country club into a showcase of wealth and pretense. Everything perfect, everything fake. I watched from the terrace as Madison worked the crowd, her red dress a splash of blood among the pastels. She hadn't spoken to me since our confrontation, but her smile flickered whenever our eyes met. Heaven. Elliot appeared beside me, champagne in hand. We need to talk. About the Reynolds deal, or about how you're avoiding Madison tonight? He gripped my arm, steering me toward a quieter corner. This has to stop. Charles is getting suspicious. Imagine that. I pulled away, adjusting my cream silk dress, the one Madison had called boring when I bought it. Having trust issues with his fiancée. I ended it with her, like you wanted. Did you? Because she's wearing the bracelet you bought me for Christmas. I nodded toward Madison, where a familiar diamond tennis bracelet caught the light. The one that went missing from my jewelry box last week. Color drained from his face. Heaven, save it. I turned to leave, but he caught my wrist. You don't understand what's at stake. The merger, your partnership, or just my sister's attention? A commotion inside drew our attention. Charles had arrived early, his imposing figure visible through the French doors. Madison's smile faltered for just a moment. I should go in, Elliot said. Of course, wouldn't want to miss the show. He hesitated. What did you do? Nothing yet, but I'd stay for the speeches if I were you. Inside, Charles was making his way toward Madison. I followed Elliot back into the party, noting how he positioned himself between them, playing buffer. Always the strategic thinker. Speech time! Mother clinked her glass, beaming at the crowd. Heaven, darling, would you like to start? All eyes turned to me. Madison's smile turned predatory, expecting another practical, forgettable moment from her practical, forgettable sister. I raised my glass. To love. My voice carried across the suddenly quiet room. To trust. To loyalty. Madison's smile slipped. And to truth, I continued. Because without truth, what do we really have? Heaven, Mother warned, but I was done being silenced. The truth is, I'm not the perfect daughter. I'm not the perfect fiancée. I'm just the practical one, right, Madison? She took a step forward, but Charles caught her arm. But being practical has its advantages, like keeping receipts, taking screenshots, saving security footage from certain hotels. The room went deadly quiet. Elliot's glass shattered on the marble floor. Heaven, that's enough, Father started, but Charles's voice cut through. What hotels? Madison turned to him, tears already forming. Charlie, she's lying. She's jealous because Room 512, I said quietly. The Four Seasons, last Thursday. Would you like to see the footage? The silence stretched like a wire about to snap. Then Charles released Madison's arm, turning to Elliot. Is this true? Elliot looked at Madison, at me, at the crowd watching with hungry eyes. I can explain. Charles's fist connected with Elliot's jaw before he could finish. Madison screamed. Mother fainted. Somewhere in the chaos, I felt a hand on my shoulder. Well done. Grandmother Nora's voice was soft, but proud, though perhaps a bit more dramatic than necessary. I learned from the best. I watched as security separated Charles and Elliot, as Madison sobbed perfectly timed tears, as Mother was revived with smelling salts. They never thought I'd fight back. No, she agreed. They thought you'd stay practical forever. That's the thing about being underestimated. It gives you the perfect cover for revenge. I touched the empty space on my wrist where the bracelet used to be. Was it worth it? That depends. She squeezed my shoulder. Did it make you feel better? I watched Madison's mascara run as she chased after Charles, watched Elliot press a napkin to his bleeding lip, watched my parents try to salvage what was left of their perfect evening. No, I admitted, but it made me feel something. Then it's a start. Nora handed me her car keys. Go, I'll handle the aftermath. I slipped out as the chaos continued, leaving behind the shattered remains of 2 engagements and countless illusions. In my purse, my phone buzzed with messages I wouldn't read, threats I wouldn't acknowledge. The practical daughter had finally snapped, and there was no putting her back together the same way again. 3 days after the engagement party, my parents appeared at my apartment. Mother wore her crisis pearls, the ones reserved for social catastrophes. Father looked like he hadn't slept. The Reynolds are threatening to sue, Mother said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. For defamation, Charles's father is pulling their business from your father's firm. I poured coffee, my hands steady. Not my problem. Not your... Mother's voice cracked. Heaven, you've destroyed everything. Madison's engagement, our family's reputation, your father's business relationships. Our reputation? The coffee cup clicked sharply against the counter. What about my reputation when Madison stole my fiancé? That's different, Father said quietly. Madison made a mistake, but this revenge of yours, it's gone too far. Gone too far? I laughed, the sound brittle. Like funding her $200,000 wedding while I worked 3 jobs for college? Like dismissing every achievement I've ever had because it wasn't Madison's? We're here to fix this, Mother cut in. Charles's family will drop everything if you publicly retract your accusations. Say it was a misunderstanding. Lie, you mean. Be practical, Father pleaded. For once, think about someone besides yourself. The word hit like a slap. Practical, right. That's all I've ever been to this family. The practical daughter, the backup plan, the one who's supposed to smile and accept every betrayal because Madison's happiness matters more. Madison is in the hospital, Mother said quietly. Anxiety attack. The doctors had to sedate her. Something cold settled in my chest. And? And she needs her sister. Mother stepped closer, her perfume suffocating. Heaven, please, we can fix this. The Reynolds will forgive everything if we handle it properly. Your father's business will recover. Madison and Charles can reconcile. What about me? What do I get? We'll help with Stanford, Father offered. Pay your tuition, set you up properly. Now you offer? After I've already earned a scholarship? Heaven, Mother's voice hardened. If you don't fix this, we'll have no choice but to distance ourselves permanently. The threat hung in the air, heavy as storm clouds. You're choosing her, again. We're choosing family, Father said. The question is, are you? My phone buzzed. Another message from Elliot. We need to talk. The SEC is asking questions about the Reynolds deal. I looked at my parents, really looked at them. Mother's perfectly composed facade, father's weary resignation. They'd never change. Madison would always be their priority, their perfect daughter, their legacy. Get out! Heaven! Get out! I hurled my coffee cup against the wall. It shattered, dark liquid staining the pale paint like blood. They left without another word, leaving behind the scent of mother's perfume and decades of conditional love. My phone buzzed again. Grandmother Nora. They came to see you, didn't they? I started typing a response when another message appeared. An email from Stanford. My scholarship had been rescinded due to concerns about personal conduct. The Reynolds family's influence, no doubt. Then another message from an unknown number. Hope it was worth it, sister dear. BTW Charles's father is on Stanford's board. Funny how things work out. XOM. The phone slipped from my fingers. I slid down the wall, surrounded by coffee stains and broken ceramic and shattered dreams. My revenge had cost me everything: my family, my education, my future. Madison would recover, would probably spin this into a sympathetic story about her unstable sister. Mother and father would support her version, would help rebuild her perfect life while mine lay in ruins. The practical daughter had finally fought back and lost everything in the process. My phone buzzed one last time. Nora again. Come to me. It's time for Plan B. I stared at the message, remembering her words from the engagement party. That's the thing about being underestimated. It gives you the perfect cover for revenge. Maybe she was right. Maybe this wasn't the end. Maybe being practical wasn't about accepting betrayal. It was about being patient, about waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I picked up my phone, stepping carefully around the broken pieces of my old life. On my way, I typed to Nora. And grandmother, bring the good scotch. We have work to do. The practical daughter wasn't finished yet, not by a long shot. Grandmother Nora's study smelled of leather and vindication. On her desk, the files she'd spent decades collecting as the family's silent observer lay open. Bank statements, emails, photographs. A lifetime of secrets wrapped in manila folders. Your mother never questioned where your father's startup money came from, Nora said, sliding a document across the desk. Or why I never challenged your grandfather's will. I scanned the yellowed paper, understanding dawning. You let them think they'd won. Sometimes the best revenge is patience. She tapped another folder. The Reynolds merger? It's built on fraud. Your father and Elliot falsified projections to secure funding. Madison knew. That's why she pursued Elliot. She needed him compromised. My phone buzzed. Madison. Mom says you're at Nora's. Still plotting? Give up, sister. You've lost. As if summoned by the text, the doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Madison's red convertible in the driveway. Perfect timing, Nora smiled. Shall we? Madison burst in without waiting for the housekeeper, our parents trailing behind her. She'd lost weight, her designer dress hanging loose, but her eyes burned with familiar triumph. Family intervention? I asked, leaning against the desk. We're trying to save you from yourself, Mother said. The Reynolds are pressing charges unless you recant. Actually, a new voice cut in, we're not. Charles Reynolds stepped into the study, followed by a man in a dark suit. What are you doing here? Madison's voice shook. Meeting your grandmother, Charles said coldly. She had some interesting documents to share with the SEC. The man in the suit stepped forward. I'm Agent Torres. We've been investigating the Reynolds merger for months. Miss Montgomery's grandmother provided the final evidence we needed. Madison whirled toward me. You little... Not heaven, Nora interrupted. Me. I've watched you destroy everything you touch, Madison, just like your mother destroyed my son's confidence. Not anymore. Robert, Mother grabbed Father's arm. Do something. But Father was staring at the documents on Nora's desk, recognition dawning. The startup money? It was blackmail? Insurance, Nora corrected. Against the day you'd choose Madison's lies over heaven's truth. Again, Agent Torres cleared his throat. Mr. Montgomery, we'll need you and Mr. Harrison to come with us. Miss Madison Montgomery as well, given her role in concealing financial fraud. You can't prove anything, Madison snapped, but her hands trembled. Your emails to Elliot suggest otherwise, Charles said. The ones where you discussed using our merger to force his cooperation. Did you really think I wouldn't investigate after the engagement party? I did it for us, Madison turned to Charles, tears falling. Everything I did was for us. No, I said quietly. Everything you did was for yourself. The difference is, now everyone sees it. Mother stepped forward, crisis pearls clicking. Nora, please, we can fix this. Fix it. Nora's voice cracked like a whip. Like you fixed Heaven's college fund? Or her relationships? Or her engagement? I was protecting my daughter. You have two daughters, Nora said. You just never deserved them both. Agent Torres moved toward Madison. Miss Montgomery, please come with us. As he led them out, Madison's tears turning to rage, Father's shoulders slumped in defeat, Mother's protests fading. Charles lingered. I'm sorry, he said quietly, for doubting you, for letting them pressure me into threatening your scholarship. It's reinstated, Nora added. Charles made sure of it. I watched through the window as Madison was helped into a government vehicle, her red convertible abandoned in the driveway like a cast-off toy. Was it worth it? I asked Nora. All those years of watching, waiting? She placed her hand over mine. Justice usually is, even if it takes 30 years and a practical granddaughter to achieve it. My phone buzzed one last time. Elliot, probably being arrested at his office. I deleted the notification without reading it. What now? I asked. Now? Nora smiled. Now you go to Stanford, live your life. Let them live with the consequences of theirs. Through the window, I watched my family's carefully constructed facade crumble under the weight of decades of secrets and lies. The practical daughter had finally broken free, but the victory tasted different than expected. Not sweet, not bitter, just real. It was enough. The newspaper sat unopened on my desk at Stanford Business School. Madison's sentencing hearing splashed across the front page. 3 years for financial fraud. Father got 5. Elliot turned state's evidence and got 18 months. A knock at my office door interrupted my thoughts. Package for you. The return address was Mother's assisted living facility. Her social circle had crumbled after the scandal, taking her carefully constructed world with it. Inside was my old jewelry box, including the bracelet Madison had stolen. A note fell out. I'm sorry I never saw you. I slipped the bracelet into my desk drawer without putting it on. Some gifts carried too much weight. Heavy reading? Lucas leaned against my doorframe, his architect's portfolio tucked under his arm. We'd met at a campus coffee shop 6 months ago when he was designing the new business building. He'd asked about my story, and I'd told him the truth, all of it. He'd stayed anyway. Just ghosts, I said, closing the newspaper. Speaking of ghosts, he handed me an envelope. Your grandmother's lawyer dropped this off at my office. Inside was a single key and an address. Nora had passed away last week, leaving behind a legacy of quiet strength and impeccable timing. The address led to a storage unit across town. Inside, dozens of boxes lined the walls, each labeled with dates spanning decades. The one marked with yesterday's date contained a letter, Dear Heaven, you're wondering why I kept all this evidence, why I waited so long to use it. The truth is, I needed you to understand something I learned too late. Revenge isn't about destroying others. It's about refusing to let them destroy you. These boxes contain every secret, every lie, every manipulation I witnessed over the years. I'm leaving them to you, not because you need them anymore, but because you deserve to know you were never wrong. You were never less than. You were just surrounded by people too small to see how big you could become. What you do with these secrets is your choice. Keep them, burn them, learn from them. But remember, the practical daughter turned out to be the strongest one of all. All my love, Nora. Lucas found me sitting among the boxes, reading through decades of carefully documented family history. You okay? I looked up at him. This man who saw me without needing to diminish me, who loved me without keeping score. I want to build something, I said. What kind of something? A foundation for students from toxic families, full scholarships, mentoring, support. He sat beside me, examining one of Nora's meticulous files. Using your family's secrets to help others escape theirs? No, I closed the file. Using my family's money, the trust fund Nora left me, the one my grandfather actually intended for my father before she intervened. Seems fitting to use it to help other practical daughters and sons. Your mother won't like it. My mother is learning to live with disappointment. I stood surveying the boxes. Have your contractor friend available tomorrow? These need to go to my lawyer's office. All of them? Evidence is like revenge, powerful but dangerous to hold on to too long. I picked up Nora's letter. This is the only piece of the past I need to keep. Lucas helped me close up the storage unit, the key heavy in my pocket. As we walked to his car, my phone buzzed. A text from Madison's prison email system. I hate you. I hate that you won. I hate that you were right. I deleted it without responding. Some conversations weren't worth having anymore. You never told me, Lucas said as we drove away. What made you finally stop wanting revenge? I thought about Mother's empty apology, about Madison's bitterness, about Father's defeated silence in court, about how victory felt nothing like I'd imagined. I realized I didn't want to win, I said. I wanted to be free. He took my hand, his grip warm and steady. In the rearview mirror, the storage unit disappeared around a corner, taking with it the last pieces of the practical daughter I used to be. Ahead lay Stanford, the foundation plans, a future built on my terms. It wasn't perfect, nothing real ever is, but it was mine, earned through scars and strength and the wisdom to know when to let go. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's simply becoming who you were always meant to be, practical or not.